Africa may be on the brink of war as leaders of the ECOWAS bloc agreed a date for military intervention in Niger following a coup there last month. But neighbouring Mali and Burkina Faso, who were suspended from the bloc after their own coups, have said they would consider this intervention an act of war and have been given authorisation to send troops into Niger in response to any ECOWAS action. These statements highlight concerns for further escalation, as Niger, already one of the poorest countries in the world, suffers food price rises and blackouts as a result of sanctions placed on the country after the coup. Niger's democratically elected leader, President Bazoum, was removed by his own presidential guard on July 26, who cited security concerns and corruption as justification for their actions. Since then, a number of Western nations have cut off aid to the country, including the EU, UK, Canada, and the US, and the African Union has suspended Niger from the organisation. But the strongest response has come from ECOWAS, the economic community of West African states, who have imposed strict sanctions on Niger, cutting electricity supplies from Nigeria, suspending some imports, and freezing state assets. This has resulted in food prices rising over 50% and rolling blackouts. But the bloc has also been vocal in its warnings of military intervention if the democratically elected president is not restored, and have rejected plans by the coup leaders to restore democracy within 3 years. While an original 7-day deadline has passed in favour of diplomatic efforts, ECOWAS has now stated that its leaders have agreed to commit troops, with 11 West African nations now ready to intervene. The ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs said, "We are ready to go any time the order is given," adding that ECOWAS was not willing to engage in endless dialogue. Speaking to journalists, he also stated that a D-Day, or deadline for military intervention, had been chosen. While ECOWAS has called for the release and reinstatement of the president, coup leaders claim to have found evidence against him of high treason. They also warned against any attack, stating, "If an attack were to be undertaken against us, it would not be the walk in the park some people seem to think." Within Niger, supporters of the coup are calling for the mobilization of civilians to defend against any possible external intervention, and the Volunteers for the Defense of Niger group say they are seeking tens of thousands of volunteers to support the country's military. All of this represents a realistic potential for conflict in the coming weeks, and ECOWAS has previously intervened in the region, sending peacekeepers into the Gambia in 2017. At the same time, a previous ECOWAS deadline for military intervention already passed without action earlier this month, with the group instead saying last week that they will continue to seek a diplomatic solution, all of which suggests ECOWAS is using sanctions, international pressure, and the threat of military intervention to force a solution, rather than being on the brink of sending in forces in the coming days.